Greetings, my friends. What was that? It's a kitty cat, of course. It's Lenny. Yeah, she's running about, as per usual. So, there she is. She went back to her little castle in the back there. Yes, this is Dr. Jimmy, welcoming you once again to my beautiful conservatory, which may not be here in a few days. I hope we can survive the hurricane that's coming, bearing on us, Hurricane Dorian. It could have been worse. It could have been Hurricane Durian, and that would be smelly. Well, the topic of this video takes place in Southeast Asia, where the durian fruit is quite popular. But my, does it stink! Oh, yes. I've actually never had one before. I know it smells quite bad, and some say it tastes awful too, but others say it's quite delicious. But I've never sampled it to find out for sure. Dare you try the dreaded durian fruit? I don't know. I'm always up to try it once. It's one of the few things that Andrew Zimmern, that fellow on that Bizarre Foods program, put in his mouth and spit out right away. Going, ew, that's too much even for him. And he ate bugs and testicles and intestines and colons and all sorts of awful things. Oh, today is September 1st. Yes, September 1st, Sunday. I always like it when a month begins on a Sunday because that means there will be a Friday the 13th. That's next week Friday. But it is this week Friday that Halloween Horror Nights 29 begins right here in Orlando, Florida, if we're all still here after the hurricane. Yes, indeed. That means Halloween Horror Nights begins this month, begins this week. In fact, all 4 Halloween Horror Nights will begin this month now. Isn't that delightful? Yes, Japan starts this week, Saturday. Hollywood starts next week, Friday. And Singapore starts Friday 3 weeks from now. That would be, let me see, 26 days from today, on the evening of Friday, September 27th, of course. And that's the topic of today's video. But first, a t-shirt I'd like to show you. Oh, isn't that lovely? My goodness, that is beautiful. This is one of the brand new shirts they're selling now at Universal for Halloween Horror Nights 29, already on sale. Yes, it's sort of an IP shirt showing several of the IPs, specifically Ghostbusters, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Stranger Things, and the Universal Classic Monsters, all of which will have their own haunted houses in Orlando, and if I'm not mistaken, all have haunted mazes in Hollywood. But this is an Orlando-specific shirt. Note, down here, where it reads, Universal Orlando Halloween Horror Nights 2019. On the back of the shirt, in 80s font, it says, in a sort of 80s style, I don't know if you can see it, if I can turn around maybe, right there. Fear to the max. Yes, to the max, like the Valley Girls used to use back in the shopping malls of the 80s. Oh, that was a time. A time I remember because I'm freaking old, but young people don't remember the 80s because they weren't born yet. Oh, is it raining? That's not Dorian already. No, it's just a little shower. If it starts to pour very hard, I may have to stop my video because it'll be difficult to hear me with the tin roof on my conservatory. Stop it. I have a video to do. Yes, this will be another of my reaction videos to announcements made for Horror Nights this year. Specifically one that was made on Wednesday, which I believe would now be Wednesday 5 weeks ago, now that it's Sunday again. Oh dear, Wednesday, July 31st. Which then would be exactly 32 days ago. Yes. 32 days ago, on that last day of July, there was a big update on a website for Universal Studios Singapore Halloween Horror Nights 9. And the full reveal for the event was given then, and I am going to my iPad to bring up, of course, the website. And lots of stuff was mentioned, but also the dates. Yes, it says here, select nights from September 27th to October 31st, Halloween night. The last night of the event won't be in November, but on Halloween itself. In fact, looking at this, we see here, I can make it bigger, here it is. Here are the dates for the event for Singapore. And they are, consists of Friday and Saturday, the 27th and 28th of September. Then October 4th, 5th, and 6th, Friday through Sunday. Then Thursday through Sunday, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. And then 3 nights for the next weekend, Friday through Sunday, the 18th, 19th, and 20th of October. And then the next weekend, the Friday through Sunday, the 25th, 26th, and 27th of November. And then Thursday, the 31st, Halloween night, will be the last night of the event. "17 nights only," which is quite a lot of nights for Singapore, actually. So, their full reveal, and now we know what they're doing, and it's quite amazing, quite wonderful as usual. I have always been amazed when I look on YouTube and see videos and photos from various sites, especially a wonderful website which I must give a shout out, Dejiki.com. I've been pronouncing it incorrectly, but now I know it's pronounced Dejiki. It's spelled D-E-J-I-K-I and is run by a man named Nicholas Yao, who also calls himself Nicholas Dejiki, which is a name he adopted for himself because he liked the way it sounded, apparently. Nicholas Yao Dejiki in Singapore, who gives wonderful coverage of the event every year, as well as other attractions and things in Singapore. I highly recommend looking at his. There are archives going all the way back to the very first Halloween Horror Nights in Singapore 8 years ago in 2011. And every single one is quite marvelous. They've gotten bigger over the years, but still small compared to Orlando. But primarily original haunted houses and scare zones and icons. It's like old school horror nights from the 90s. My lighting is kind of silly. Let's see if I can help it a little bit. Maybe if I can move the lamp. I don't know if that will help at all. Does that help or make it worse? I don't know. Maybe I can put the lamp at a different place. I can adjust some of this stuff up here. Does that help at all? Not really. Or maybe a little bit. I don't want it shining directly on my face so it would get hot. Let's see if I can adjust it. That might be better. No, it's only getting my hat. Oh dear. I'd kind of have to have the light down here. It's probably better where it was before. One of these days I'll figure it out. It's a little desk lamp now that I'm using. It gives a bright light. Perhaps a little better than what I had before with the lamp behind the desk that was brighter, filling the whole room to some degree, but not quite as much. I can just move into the light or stand back. But of course, when it's daylight, I always am half in shadow. At least used to be all in shadows, so at least you see a bit more of me now. So, as I was saying, though, it's a wonderful event, and they've done some spectacular things over the years. And every year I want to go, but of course the opportunity to go all the way to Singapore and back is quite difficult. It's expensive and time-consuming, and right now I just don't have the ability to get there. One of these days. So, it appears there are 5 haunted houses this year. Yeah, no, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, maybe 6. Let's see. No, that's not right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 5 haunted houses this year. So let's get into them. The first one is called Curse of the Naga. And let me show you, if I can, this. Now it's acting up. Why is it acting up? Oh, for pity's sake. I hate it when it does that. Let's do that here. All right. And let me try to make it big. Put it over here, make it big. So you can see here what it looks like. This is the what would you call the logo for the house. Curse of the Naga. Looks quite lovely. It is described here as follows. It says here, one moment you're a tourist on the colourful streets of Bangkok. The next you're being lured into the jungles of Thailand and find yourself stumbling into a lost village that is under the spell of the Naga, a snake spirit. Beware the charms of the serpentine spirit, or you may just be led astray and forced to bear the curse of the Naga. Come explore this original haunted house from the directors of blockbuster Thai horror films, Shutter and Phobia. This marks the first time Universal Studios Singapore has collaborated with these regional masters of horror to deliver a truly terrifying Asian horror experience. So essentially then, it's set in Thailand, where we have the Naga. Naga is actually a Hindu, I think also Buddhist snake deity or demon that actually I think it's simply the Indian word for, the Hindi word for snake or cobra. But this is particularly a demon, a serpent, a female serpent creature actually, that will be stalking this village in Thailand. And some famed Thai horror masters who are famous for films like Shutter. There was a silly remake of that in the United States, but the original Shutter was quite good. And Phobia, that's spelled 4, like the number 4, and then B-I-A, Phobia, but it's actually Phobia, which was an anthology horror film in Thailand. And number 4 has ominous. Ominous in many Asian countries, considered unlucky. So that's the first one, the Curse of the Naga. All right. The second haunted house is Twisted Clown University, and let me bring up the logo so you can see that. Twisted Clown University, a school for evil clowns, obviously. And what does it say about that? It says, step into this abandoned carnival ground and receive a welcome to the Twisted Clown University. Here, remorseless clowns train the next generation of red-nosed killers to wreak havoc in an already coulrophobic world. From being forced into death-defying acts to a lesson on manipulating bodies through puppetry, your laughs will quickly dissolve into screams of terror. All right. The third haunted house is called the Chalet Hauntings. Here is the logo, the Chalet Hauntings. And what does it say about that? Well, it says here, and I put down, learn more. Frightful rumors of a Langsia sighting. Hushed whispers of a hunter Raya. Layers of police tape with no explanation. Whatever happened to the 5 teenagers who mysteriously disappeared from their chalet? Why does everyone seem so hell-bent on recovering it up? It's time to return to where it all started and uncover the dark secrets and vengeful ghosts that continue to haunt these cursed grounds. The truth behind the chalet hauntings will shock you, but will you live to tell the tale? And now it's being silly again. But I'm going to take advantage of this to look up a couple of terms. It said something about a lancier. What is a lancier? Or rather, you might want to. What is a langsur? Well, there it is spelled Langsur, but it's also often spelled Langsur, Langsur. What is a langsur? Well, a langsur, according to Wikipedia, is a female revenant in Malay and Indonesian mythology. The word is derived from the Malay word for eagle, halang. A langsur is a type of vampire, which is the ghost of a woman who died while pregnant or giving birth. Langsurs differentiate from the Pontianak, which we've seen at Horror Nights in Singapore before. Well, I haven't seen it personally, but has been there many times, which is the ghost of a woman who's died at or before birth, so it's similar. She takes the form of a beautiful woman with long black hair that reaches her ankles, though she may also take the form of a floating woman's head, from which entrails and spinal column hang. Langsurs have also been described as having incredibly long nails, hands extending down to her feet, and wearing green robes. She preys on humans, preferring the blood of newborn male children, but also consuming females sometimes. That's what a langsur is, and if you go to Google Images, you might find some pictures, including a film called Langsur that apparently is an Asian film. This may be from the film, which has nothing to do with the Halloween Horror Nights in Singapore. It's not an IP, but there are various images here that might be of similar creatures from the film, or different films that featured such beasts, most of whom have that sort of Asian ghost lady look. And let me see if there's any other imagery here that is more traditional. Let me see. Let me try the other spelling and see what comes up for images. Okay, this time we have some other images, including this is an actual Indonesian figure of what one might look like, and there are drawings and images of certain plants apparently that are spelled the same way, but there's other spooky pictures. So that's what that is. And what was the other phrase? Hunter, that we came across. Let's look for that. Hantu Raya. What's a Hantu Raya? Well, looking up Hantu Raya, we find a definition here. Hantu Raya is Malay, refers to a supreme ghost or demon that acts as a double for the black magic practitioner. In Malay folklore, it's a spirit who is supposed to confer the owner with great powers. Hantu means ghost, Raya means to celebrate. So the Hantu Raya originates in Malaysia, said to be the master of all ghosts. It is a leader of an underworld legion. Those who make alliance with it are considered powerful. It's often considered to be similar to the Christian or Islamic tradition of Satan. So, are there pictures on the internet? Yes. Here are some images of what such a beast might look like. Over here, and let's see, there's this great big, damn it, move. Ooh, look at that one. Nasty. Let's see, there was another one that, here it is. So, something like that. Perhaps, is that what it'll look like in the house? I have no idea. But that's what's described here when you research what a Hantu Raya might be. So let me go back to Horror Nights in Singapore. All right. So after the chalet hauntings, the fifth house is Hell Block 9. You bring its logo up. Hell Block 9. A prison house, obviously. Like Hellgate Prison, perhaps. What does it say about it? Dark, dirty, and damp. This prison doesn't rehabilitate, it ravages. Every night prisoners in Hell Block 9 scream in agony and fear as merciless wardens torture them and leave them for dead, guilty or otherwise. Ravaged by death, disease, and devastation, this is the very image of hell on earth. Can you survive long enough to finish your sentence? And the fifth house, the last one, is Spirit Dolls. Here is the logo for Spirit Dolls. Note there's some Japanese writing under there, because this one is the Japanese-themed house this year. And it reads, legend has it that one night an entire village was slaughtered by an evil doll that housed a spirit, only to have their spirits trapped in the life-sized hand-stitched dolls left behind. I'm having some issues with that one. Let me try again. Left behind in the village, yes. Now a macabre tourist attraction. Pick up your courage and head into the abandoned village to see the spirit dolls for yourself. But why are their eyes following you around? A word of advice, don't look away. So we have then 5 haunted houses with Asian themes, of which one is Thai, one is Malay, one is Japanese, and the other two, well, I think Hell Block 9 is in Singapore itself or in some part of South Asia, whereas the Clown University, Twisted Clown University, could be anywhere, or maybe the more European, who knows. Now the scare zones, there are 2 scare zones. The first is called Dead End. That sounds like a haunted house in Orlando once upon a time. Logo for Dead End. Dead End reads, enter Dead End, the realm of the Undertaker, an alternate dimension that lies between the land of the living and the domain of the dead. Watch as mourners practice macabre and bizarre funeral... Oh, what happened? Am I still here? Yes, watch as mourners practice macabre and bizarre funeral rites. All right. And the other one is Death Fest. Death Fest. Let's get a look at this logo with the 2 skeletal hands making the sign of the heavy metal horns and the skull. Can you see the emblem on the forehead of the skull easily? Let me turn it sideways so you can see it better. And it says Death Fest. It's a heavy metal concert festival. Wander the fray of insane fans as they scream along to their favorite band at Death Fest. the most hardcore music festival of 2019. Stay alert and keep your wits about you while navigating the mosh pits to escape the army of devoted metalheads and savages. So they've got a heavy metal themed scare zone, and this other more macabre cemeterial scare zone featuring a character called the Undertaker, which I'll get to in a moment. And there are 2 shows. The first show is called Deathfest Live. Has basically the same logo, only live, and it reads on peak nights. So only on the peak nights. Join a morbid metal procession around the park with specially designed floats and electrifying acts, culminating in a hardcore music festival bursting with visually stunning pyrotechnics. In other words, the scare zone of Deathfest will become a parade on the peak nights, culminating in a show, a heavy metal show with fireworks. Oh my God, sounds wonderful. And the other show is called Skin and Bones. Someone is calling me. Why is someone calling me? Let me see. Hello? Oh, hello there. What's wrong? I'll be back. Well, the messages I left are no longer a reply because that was about getting the phone back in, and he had his phone out. Well, that's okay. That's okay. Doctor, he'd already spoken to me, and Dr. Ramsey had been there, and everything was taken care of. Okay, no, I took care of it. I had it brought up here, and then I sent it in. Okay, you too. Bye-bye. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to have an interruption. I thought it was a robocall because I didn't recognize the number, but that was someone with a very silly thing that has already been taken care of, and he should know that, or she should know that. Anyway, it's a totally different story. Nothing to concern yourself, and I'm sorry for that interruption in the video, but sorry about that. If I knew how to edit stuff out, I would. But here is the next show. It's called Skin and Bones, and this little logo says R.I.P. and it says here it's dead funny. So it's a horror comedy show, and it's called here the #1 comedy show in the underworld is filming live. Be part of the studio audience and watch as hosts Skin and Bones, I guess they're a comedy duo, bring their offbeat entertainment to the stage along with some very special guests. It's going to be hilarious. Maybe it's their version of Bill and Ted. Although for a Singaporean audience that would be quite different. Skin and Bones, and they're probably at the Pantages Theatre, which is where we have our Monsters makeup show in Orlando, but in Singapore they do a Beetlejuice live show there, and so that's what they'll be doing for Horror Nights in that stage. Okay, so that covers shows and scare zones. And there's one more thing, a Halloween carnival. There's no real image, it just has a rather basic logo. It says Halloween Carnival, but it says, watch as this ordinary fun fair by day transforms into the Halloween Carnival come nightfall. Play macabre games to win prizes, but beware. Creepy clowns are lurking just behind the stalls. So they're going to have a carnival area. They had never done that before in Singapore, so that's a first for this year's event. Now, it all sounds quite marvelous, and as usual, it's all original. The only major IP they've ever used was Stranger Things last year. They're not doing that again this year. There's no Ghostbusters, no killer clowns. It's all original haunted houses and scare zones, and an icon, the Undertaker, who was going to be hanging out in that scare zone, dead end, but also will be the icon of the whole event. And I have a number of photos which I would like to show you that will help illustrate all of this. So let me go through here and see where I have my Singaporean images collected, and let's find them. No, I don't need this anymore. Or that one. I delete a few things I don't need, but let's see. Here, for example, is the Undertaker himself. That's what he looks like. Sort of like a cross between one of the body collectors and Dr. Albert Kane, the caretaker. Do not confuse him with any wrestlers called the Undertaker. One of the wrestler actually had been at Horror Nights in Hollywood in the year 2000. Okay, here is this is from some design artwork for Curse of the Naga. Isn't that utterly beautiful? Yes, that's some design for what the house is hoped to look like. Doesn't that look spectacular? My goodness. You see, that's the beauty of the Singapore event. Is always quite pretty. Here is a little graphic giving an idea about the chalet hauntings. And I suppose the spirits you see lurking up there are is the Langsua, who may rival the Pontianak for dominance in Singapore now, since the Pontianak apparently isn't going to be there. This is some artwork for Hell Block 9, the prison house. That looks spectacular. And here is some artwork for the Death Fest Scare Zone and the Dead End Scare Zone, giving you an idea. The coffins for Dead End and the heavy metal stages and such for Death Fest, the Scare Zones. All right, let's see. This has some artwork for what Twisted Clown University and Spirit Dolls will look like. You see the circus tents and the dark carnival's atmosphere for the university, and over here sort of like crop fields and little Japanese dolls up in trees and stuff for that Spirit Dolls house, which almost looks like it's going to be outside, but that may not necessarily be the case. Let me scroll through again. Those are Singapore images. Here is a lovely artwork representing the event itself. That's the Undertaker in the middle, and he has some of his friends with him. That is the Naga. That is the Naga demon right there, the Cobra woman. The man behind her is one of the fiendish wardens of Hell Block 9. We see an evil clown from the Twisted Clown University. And I think the guy with the bloody mouth is one of his victims. If you look carefully, the Langsur is climbing down the wall there from the chalet hauntings. There's a heavy metal dude right over there behind the clown's victim from the Death Fest zone, and there's one of the creepy spirit dolls right there. So all of these are going to be after you if you manage to get to Singapore this year. My iPad keeps acting up. Stop that. Why do you keep turning off? Why don't you come up? Come on. What is this? I can't get it to stay on. It keeps going off on me. Okay, come on. Bring up the... Something's wrong here. I don't know why. I can't get into my press home to unlock. Okay, there it is. Finally. I don't know why it wouldn't come back up. All right, let me go back and see if I can find more photos. I do have some others. Oh, that's Lenny. Oh, here's another wonderful big image for the event. This one featuring the chalet hauntings and the Langsua. What does it say? Will you live to tell the tale? Quite fearsome. All right. Then that's something else. And here they have these sort of road shows where some of the characters go on the road to meet people before the event even begins. A display from one, along with the character of the Spirit Doll and one of the Twisted Clowns. This is another graphic from Twisted Clown University. Quite wonderful. Is that a victim to be tortured or someone being made into an evil clown? Maybe both. Here's a clown hanging out with some girls at one of those road shows. And here is the Naga making a public appearance before the event begins to publicize it. She's quite spectacular. Dig those fingernails. My goodness, you wouldn't want to pick your nose if you have nails like that. So that's what Singapore looks like this year. I'm amazed, as I am every year. They do wonderful things, and they're doing that thing again where they have a scare zone pick up and become a procession through the park and then have a show. Oh, God, I would love to go there, especially since it's a hard-rocking, head-banging show this time. And they have an icon again. The only time they didn't have icons was in 2015, the year of the blood moon, when the blood moon itself sort of took center stage. Oh, that's the 9th time they've had Horror Nights in Singapore. Oh, if only I could make my way over there and see it in person, but it's not to be. Not to be. So that's that bit of information. I hope you enjoyed it, and you can always enjoy it vicariously at YouTube, or when they have the videos coming up when people have visited. And also go to dayjiki.com. They have wonderful tons of stuff to find out about the event this year and all past years, and I highly recommend that. So that's this video. I hope to make some more videos reacting to announcements this year. There's still several more. There were, there were at least, let's see, 4 more mazes that were announced in Hollywood, and and 3 more that were announced in Orlando since I left off with Killer Clowns, not to mention the Orlando scare zones and shows and such. And I'd like to react to all of those. And of course, more cocktails. I don't know if I'll do the video for the next announcement chronologically, which happened on August 3rd. That would have been Saturday, 4 weeks ago now. I think. Yes. Oh no, Saturday, 5 weeks ago now, because this is already Sunday. Thus 29 days ago. And that, of course, was the announcement for the 7th Maze in Hollywood Creep Show. But I hope to get to that soon, and then, of course, the next one for Orlando and Hollywood after that, which was Us. I may get to the Creep Show eventually, and I might do like I did last night and combine the reaction to the Us House and Maze in Orlando and Hollywood with a cocktail video, my 8th cocktail video for Horror Nights 29 for Us, and do that tonight. But for now, I'm wrapping up. I'm already, oh good heavens, almost 40 minutes covering Singapore, although there was a lot to cover. And until then, enjoy the rest of your miserable little lives and try not to get blown away in the upcoming storm.